everyone. Welcome to the Concussion Discussions series brought to you by Integrated Brain Centers. I am your host, Amy Zellmer from Faces of TBI. And today I am talking with Dr. Michael Bagnell from Bagnell Brain Center. And today we're going to be talking about the dolphin and the brain. So
Yes.
Welcome to the series.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to this so much. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to dig into this because this is a pretty cool topic, talking about dolphins and brain rehab. So where would you like to start? How would you like to dig into the subject?
Well, you and I were just chatting before about how I got even involved with dolphins. And it's just an interesting short story. The backstory my wife always loved. What is the backstory to how they got here? So the backstory is we've had friends and clients in our practice for many years that have been owners in dolphin habitats around the world, or dolphins in human care, as they say. And they invited us to consider doing some of our activities that we do, the specialized functional neurology or clinical neuroscience, in partner with the dolphins in a animal assisted therapy model. And so as we developed that model, we started to bring people into that. And we noticed that the results, because we measured so many things, as you know, were pretty remarkable in the camps that we've been able to have prior to the shutdown. But now we're getting back into that and looking forward to helping more people.
Yeah. And you're located in the Miami area.
Right.
And
South Florida.
You go to the Keys
Right.
with your dolphin camps. So
right, in the Florida Keys, right. So we
try
maintain
to
our
do that all
practice.
year round.
That's every time I'm down there, I feel like I could just do this. This would be perfect, bring people here for a few days or a week and then work with them in their healing and recovery trajectory. I want to use that word, trajectory, because we know that not everyone gets, and this is better than anyone, not everyone gets 100% well with every clinician or therapist. So if we can evaluate properly and we set a good expectation, maybe we can help somebody on their trajectory of recovery. I feel like that's where I've been coming into in my own thought in the past 5 or 6 years, because I've seen so many people get some results. And of course, you're hopeful to get everything resolved, but it's just, we know the reality, it's not that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have our practice, our brick and mortar in Miami, and then we're down there for our camps with the dolphins.
And how often do you do the dolphin camps?
Well, we had them scheduled, believe it or not, last year we had them booked for every single month of the year. And that was supposed to start in April. Of course, everything had to, right. So now we're putting together dates. We have 4 dates this year already selected, and
Awesome.
We're working on more dates. So they're looking at their more beginning in the summer, the spring and summer here. So we have dates that are going to be TBA, to be announced, and they'll be on our website.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about how you're integrating what you do at the clinic with what you do at the brain camp.
Right. So we do, of course, work with people with brain injuries, not solely, but that is the large client group base that we work with, post-concussion recovery, and then all the features of things that go with that people suffer with, mood disorders, sleep irregularities, pain also has some components, and psychological issues that we mentioned, mood. But so what we do is in the office, we're evaluating, like many of your professionals, my colleagues here that have been interviewed, we're evaluating, we believe, based on the standards that are recommended. We're evaluating eye movements and eye tracking because that's very important to understanding the brain. We're evaluating cognitive measures because there's more to us than just eye movements. We're evaluating concentration and memory and attention. And then we're also measuring autonomic function, which a lot of people get problems with that, which is heart rate and gut function. And I know that you have a lot of things that you've experienced yourself with that. So we look at autonomic function, eye tracking, cognitive measures. We do brain mapping. We use neurofeedback quite extensively in our office and mapping the brain. So we try to get many different layers of evaluation of someone's neuraxis or their brain function. And balance measures, as you know, that's also very important. And as we look at all these things, including vestibular, the inner ear gyroscope system, you might call it, as we look at all these things and we start to consider what is working, what is not working, and what might be contributing to this person's lifestyle changes that are not what they want, what their suffering is. And so we'll do lots of different measurements because I'm really keen on measuring. Actually, one of the founders of applied kinesiology, Dr. Goodhart, he used to say, measure, 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 and then measure, 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 measure. So somehow that got stuck in here.
That sounds like my dad as a mechanic.
Oh, there you go. Perfect, right? So we like to measure, not just for the sake of that, but so that we can see, is what we're doing making more of a difference than just relying on how do you feel? Now, that's crucially important, right? That's probably the bullseye, because if you're not changing the way someone's sensing their life, then you maybe have great numbers, but that's not really going to answer it. So but we do measure. We even measure things in the water with the dolphins. We have hydrophones that we put in, and we measure the echolocation clicks and sounds that they do, and then we put those on a little disc. Well, now an MP4 last year, and then we send those to the clients also, so they can be reminded of that experience.
Very cool.
Yeah, right? That was given to us by some of the researchers. They said, why don't we send these to them? But we look at the spectrograph, all these fancy things that I've learned that help you understand what is the frequency that they're kind of emitting, that the person, yourself, myself, might be absorbing, because there's also a lot of consideration. That's healing to the body, almost like pulsed electromagnetic frequency. So I know it sounds like technical, but the experience is measuring things. And then I design personally for people targeted exercises in the water and on land. We set up almost our entire office down in the Keys for a few days at a time. And we'll do a water-based treatment with them with the dolphins, and then you do a land-based. So we say we work one session in the brain lab, one session in the water. Then you have lunch. Then one session in the brain lab, one session in the water. So it's a multi-session, 3 to 5 day experience that's rigorous, but it's way beyond fun. I mean, really, it's these creatures almost look like they have a constant grin, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, they have a very sweet smile, and they're very disarming. Actually, a lot like your smile, because you have a wonderful smile, Amy. You're very inviting, and you help people to feel, like, okay, relax. And it's so amazing. You walk down there, and they're very large creatures, but immediately they pop up and they're looking at you like, who's this? Who's this? Almost like puppies. My wife calls them 800-pound puppies. And it's just remarkable what they can do that is the immeasurable, right? The intangible zone for people. So it doesn't heal everyone. It's not a magic pill or a magic treatment, but it's a very unique approach to combining working with animals like they do with horses, right? They call it hippotherapy.
Yep.
And they work with dogs. And so we know that the animals have some kind of intrinsic effect on human beings, a connection. And dolphins are pretty unique. They're with their brain and our brain. We can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, just in general, animals can be really therapeutic, like look at people with their comfort dogs, right? Like my little Pixie, I just lost her last year, but she was my little comfort animal throughout my entire recovery. Cats, dogs, horses, even I know people with birds, right? They offer them comfort. So I mean, I can only imagine how cool. I've seen lots of documentaries and such with dolphin therapy, and I've had interactions with them like in nature. But I would imagine it's really cool to be
it's very remarkable.
Right up close with them.
And the real secret to the work is based on the vestibular system, because once we get in the water, and we know many people who will probably see this understand a little bit more about concussion than the person who has never had one. Yeah. So they've heard, okay, vestibular, that's important. Well, when you get in the water, as you know, it's all your vestibular system that is being activated, let's say. And so it's very important for us to target things in a way, like many people have maybe heard of a gyrostim, the big rotational chair. And I know you've probably experienced that too, but this is an entirely different thing. You're in this water, you're immersed. So it's one of the things that we really capitalize on, is helping the human beings in vestibular system start to recalibrate by the activities we do.
And I mean, I would think too, like pool therapy is a real thing in rehab.
Right.
So I would think being in the water, I'm thinking of, for instance, people who have slightly more of a disability with their legs or movement.
Yes.
You're buoyant, you're floating, especially in the ocean, you're even more buoyant.
Right.
So I would think that would be really an interesting benefit to have that buoyancy, to tie that in with your rehab.
Yeah, so the people that are the ones who invited us to do this work also go down to Mexico. And last June, we were scheduled to be in Mexico with them, because they work with handicapped people, people that have physical disabilities, paralysis and so forth, quadriplegic, paraplegics in the water there. And they wanted us down there to do some of our work in combination, but we didn't get to do that. So we're hopeful to look into that for this year, and they'll bring them, and they have different facilities where they have specialized devices to bring them down into the water. And they've shown me some remarkable videos of people and their experiences coming down there. It's down in Mexico.
Maybe give us an example of a water-based therapy that would be different in the water versus on land.
Okay, so one of the simple ones that we have designed is it's called a pinwheel, right? So imagine if you were floating face down in the water with a mask and a snorkel on, with your arms out like this, almost like you did a jumping jack, but you stayed out there, and your legs out, and the dolphin, and you'll have one hand like this, and the dolphin will come up and they'll put their nose on your hand. Aww. And your arm is out straight, and you're watching them. Now you are eye to eye with this dolphin, about this far. That's by itself is like, wow, this is like a very intelligent living creature that I'm eye to. It's like if you put your face right up to a horse, right? Yeah. You'd be like, oh my goodness, they're so sweet. And it's like they're really sensing you. It's not like that you have a sense that consciousness is very high. Let me say it that way. Mm-hmm. It's not like looking at a grasshopper, right? Okay, you might love grasshoppers, and I don't, but you might, and that's okay. But it's not quite the same. This is a mammal of a very high level intelligence. Anyway, so you have your arm out, and they touch your hand, and then they start going, and they start turning you in the water slowly, and sometimes we increase the speed, so we can even, it's almost like having a biological gyrostim.
Yes.
Right? And so we'll do that, and then we'll add certain activities to that, but 1, 2, 3 rotations, and then we'll have a break, and then we may repeat that. Now we can go right, we can go left, and then we've designed something to go in a posterior, going backward type of activity with a mask on. So that's pretty remarkable. And I think
that's really cool.
Yeah, everyone gets out and goes, that was amazing, looking eye to eye at a dolphin.
And I'm going to stop you for a second, because I think having the dolphin as a level of comfort, yes, and a distraction almost, because I know a lot of people get a lot of anxiety about I don't want to get in the gyrostim, or I don't want to do a barbecue roll, like it's going to make me dizzy. And I think having that added benefit of the dolphin to distract you from your actual, rehab.
Yeah.
I think that's really an interesting.
I 100% agree with that. Yes, because we have seen that with several people where they were very skittish, nervous, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? Just getting in the water. So we don't like dive in the first session and people are out in the middle of the pond. I mean, it's all fenced in, but it's quite a large area. And they're doing dramatic things. It's very like step forward in a progression. But I remember one mom in particular who had a concussion. Actually, she had brought her kids who had a skateboarding concussion, the other one in a dance class competition that had a concussion. And they were different times. But the mom, prior to the camp, within a few weeks, ended up with a concussion, fell off a bar stool in her own kitchen and hit her head. It wasn't severe, but we had measurements on her before. So your eye tracking was really knocked off track, so to speak. And she said, well, I'm going to do the camp with the kids. Let's do it. So she was very apprehensive, was the word for, because she had just had that impact and the turning and what she could do on the first day and what she could do on the third day was night and day. She she could not even like lay back in the water and float. And the third day she could rotate 3 times backwards, like in a tuck position. She couldn't even lay backward on the water and just float because she said I started to get disoriented. So in 3 days, that was pretty remarkable for her. And that's what I was going to mention, is that we noticed that people were so excited at the end of the day that many of them, the first camp, were like, they didn't sleep well because they were so excited.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, we have to be able to dial them down so that the recovery is there in the sleep. So what we developed was a meditation.
Oh, awesome.
So at the end of the day, in the last session, you would lay flat on your back in a float, and basically you're floating. You have a life jacket on, one under your legs, and the marine mammal specialist will bring the dolphin and around you, and the dolphin is echolocating at whatever desire they want. So one gal who had seizures that we were treating, the specialist told me after, I could not move that dolphin from her head. That dolphin just stayed right here, up near her head. Now, what was the dolphin doing? We don't know. There's different people have had observations other than myself and people much more astute with dolphin research. But we have the recording. So we know she was really echolocating a lot with this client. And, the dolphins are, I don't know, some people say they're almost their own biological healers themselves,
Yeah.
So I can't speak to that. I can speak to some of the really particulars, but one of our close friends has been working with dolphins for 40 years. And she said, I can tell you more encounters that have changed lives with those dolphins than any doctor anyone has ever been to. And I believe her.
And then you combine the doctor and the dolphin, and it's even better.
Yeah. Hopefully that's always the desire, is to give someone an experience that is transformative, that has changed things that we can measure. We've seen some really great changes with a reduction in PTSD, people suffering with that. One client was really struggling with that for many reasons, multiple. And so the first activity was, I want you to swim out into the deeper section of the pond. And she was like, oh, no way, not happening. And I said, no, we can do it. So the fear rises up. We took her out there, swam out there with her myself. So now you're confronting fear, right? So now the fear level rises up. The amygdala is really active. Mm-hmm. And then I swim back. The dolphin swim. You realize I'm okay, right? I'm okay. I'm out here. I'm okay. I'm floating. It's safe. It's protected. The dolphin swims out. But she was always wanting to go out there because she loved the activity where the dolphins bring her back in. So for the rest of the camp, she's like, I want to do it again. I'm like, okay, there you go. So it down-regulated in her nervous system a generalized fear that could be translated into, day-to-day living.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, this whole dolphin camp just seems really cool. And anyone that is watching, they can find more information on your website, which is bagnellbraincenter.com. And we have all the links and the information below. Mm-hmm. And they can also follow you on Instagram and Facebook at Bagnell Brain Center. Yes. And if they're interested in learning a little bit more, they can schedule a free consultation, correct?
Yes, they can. They can schedule that through some of our telemedicine platforms, right through the website.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Dr. Bagnell. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos in this series. Like this video and head to Amazon to purchase Concussion Discussions.